Okay, let's
First, there
go.
are many healthy relationships where people aren't having sex. I couldn't tell you how they do it.
Okay, let's go.
What's up? What's up, fam? It's me, Big Sarge, coming tonight from the business side. To my drill team, welcome back. And if you happen to come across this page tonight, hit that subscribe. So tonight, got a super chat question on how are men supposed to gauge the status of their relationships if they're in a sexless relationship? And it's not that the sex is because someone doesn't want to. It's what happens when the man and the woman agrees not to have sex. So when that man is talking to his boys or that woman is talking to her girls, exactly how do they engage the health or the growth of that relationship if they don't have certain goals or things that's supposed to, or things that normally happen in relationships not taking place? And that thing that I'm talking about is sex. So first, there are many healthy relationships where people aren't having sex. So as long as both people set up and set out to know that they're going to embrace this relationship and take it into stride without sex, then it's pretty much going to be a healthy relationship for those two people. See, what happens is it really doesn't become a problem until you're starting to deal with people where one of the people in the relationship is expecting a certain boundary or line to be crossed at a certain point. Now, that point could be at any time: first date, second date, third date, whatever. For a lot of men, even for a lot of women, those relationships are judged on their progression, on when they're able to let their chemistry enjoy itself. So, as you can imagine, trying to say this without saying that, but once a relationship reached that point where that chemistry is about to take over, that's normally the point where most couples realize that the relationship is progressing. So now the problem comes into what happens for couples who don't have that yardstick in place. How do they gauge that? Personally, fam, I couldn't tell you how they do it. Because if I were talking to a man and he told me that he was in a relationship, and I'm not, let me go ahead and just put this out here. So this caveat that I'm not talking about people who have religious reasons or spiritual reasons on why they're not going down that path. So I'm actually talking about when two people are in a relationship and that they have a reason on why they're not going down the sexual route. So those couples normally tend to find intimacy, or a lot more intimacy, in simply holding hands, simply hugging, or just kissing each other goodnight. So for those people who can do that and they can actually use that as a yardstick on how that relationship is progressing, I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people, the everyday people who are in relationships and that they're using that intimacy between two people to gauge the progression, the functionality, the health of a relationship. So for the people who aren't having sex and they're still able to move forward, that's a good thing. For the person who is in a relationship with a person who doesn't want to have sex and a person does want to have sex, it's going to be very difficult to gauge that relationship. But as long as you take the time to let that person know what you want, what you need in that relationship to be able to see it progress, you should be able to get out of it what you want. And to tell you the truth, it probably should have been something that you should have brought up early on in the relationship. And you being either the person that wanted it, or you being the person that knew that you were going to go into the relationship and not need sexual intimacy to gauge the progression of the relationship. So I would love to know how y'all think or feel about relationships that have sex in it, What kind of advice would you give to the man or the woman who is or was expecting it, and they're in a relationship with someone who doesn't want to have intimacies very fast or even at all before marriage? What advice would you give to them on how they're to gauge that relationship? Because sometimes love does happen without the sex. How long should they date? How long should they be able to take it on? What advice would you give your son or your daughter or your sister or your brother on how they should handle that? I'd love to know exactly what you think about it, fam. This is Big Sarge, and I'm out.